Welcome, baseball family, to the first Thursday Night Live of the 2023 MLB season. I am one of your hosts. My name is Brad. I'm joined this evening by our guy, Brig, on the road. Brig, how are you?
Good, man. The hotels are crappy. The food is awesome. Everybody's happy.
Sounds like a typical vacation. Love it. Very
typical
good.
Road trip.
Excellent. Well, let's get into it because last year we got into this and we tried to keep these things to 30 minutes because it's not your typical Thursday night activity. So here we go. First things first. Those of you who saw, this episode is called Umpires Are Soft, and we will tell you why. Okay, so It starts with umpires and their quick triggers. We've had several instances over the last several weeks where umpires tossed guys before it seemed like they really did anything wrong. The first instance was JT Realmuto. I think it was during a spring training game, like really towards the end of spring training, right? Where there's a foul ball. Yeah. He put his hand back, or he put his glove hand back, and before the umpire could put the ball in the glove, he pulled it back. I guess he thought it wasn't happening. Umpire dropped the ball, got embarrassed, tossed him. Next, we have Manny Machado, who I know a lot of people are happy when Machado gets tossed just because they don't like Manny Machado. But I like Manny Machado, and I get a little bit upset when this happens. So he had a pitch clock violation. He has admitted there's probably going to be a lot of them because he has a pretty lengthy and in-depth, I guess, procedure he likes to go through before every pitch. He did try to call time. Umpire never has to grant time, and he didn't. Pitch clock violation was called out. And my thing is, I wonder if he must have said one of those things you don't say to an umpire because he was tossed really quick, if you know what I mean.
Shortly thereafter, yeah.
Just the other day, the other day, Tim Anderson got tossed. Pitch clock violation. You could see that he tried to call time. You could see it in that he was saying time, and he actually backed out of the box and just took strike three. He obviously wasn't happy about it. Went back to the dugout and was yelling. Umpire tossed him after just a few seconds, but he straight up told the umpire, I wasn't yelling at you, I was yelling at him, referring to Giants pitcher Logan Webb. And this is the thing I love, is that I told Brig before this happened, I was like, we're going to call this episode Umpires Are Soft. And Tim Anderson yelled at the umpire, y'all are soft. And I said, yes. Thank you.
Somebody said it.
Now,
somebody said it.
Somebody said it. It needed to be said. Now, Brig, this is the thing I wonder. This is my question for you. Is this something we're going to see all year long? Are umpires going to continue to have quick triggers all year? Or are they just making it known that the pitch clock is the law and we're not having it? That this is just the way things are going to be?
Feels like a new sheriff in town kind of situation to me. I think that they're going to lead with a bigger stick. They're going to swing it around a little bit, and things will mellow out. But I hate that the umpires are making it about them. And I even on this week's episode, I jumped in to sort of defend them a little bit, and I'm not sure how I feel about defending them anymore.
Right. So, I specifically said about the pitch clock, the umpires need to stop making it about them. I feel like what this is about is umpires are making it about them. You're not going to yell at me for even a half a second and I'll toss you.
It's ridiculous.
Okay, but we're not here to see you. Tim Anderson is who I'm paying my ticket to go see. Manny Machado is who I'm paying my ticket to go see. Not you, Mr. Umpire. I don't even know your name. Nope. So keep track of that. I hope that it does settle down some, that it doesn't continue at this same pace, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Speaking of guys who are worth the price of admission, Fernando Tatis Jr. has made his debut in AAA El Paso for the Chihuahuas, Well, the Chihuahuas, as some of you say, I know.
Who was?
That's how I remember how to spell Chihuahua, Brig, is Chihuahua.
Yeah,
But anyway,
that's brilliant.
So for those of you who might have been living under a rock, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado's teammate, was suspended for PEDs. He missed all of last season due to injuries and a suspension, and now he's coming back. He's eligible and expected to make his big league debut this year on April 20th. We know some of you already have that date marked, but go ahead and add this to your markings on that date as well. Now, This is what I love, Brig. This is fantastic. He hit a home run off of pitcher Cade McClure, who then referred to him as a cheater on the Twitter machine.
Yeah. Sure did.
I thought this was so funny. My first thought was, tell me you're butthurt about giving up a bomb without telling me you're butthurt about giving up a bomb.
Yeah. This is major pride speaking. I don't know what's going on here, but called him a cheater. He said, imagine giving up a home run to a cheater on a rehab assignment during his suspension. I was like, oh
Yikes, man. A little bit of sour grapes.
Intense. Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, but he's gotten a lot of pub the last day or so, and I think this is probably the most we'll ever know about Cade McClure. I had to look up his name because I couldn't remember.
It's possible.
But
yeah, it's possible.
So he's getting his moment in the sun. Good for him. But when it comes down to it, Brig, though, end of the month, I'm actually going to be, because the Padres are going to be in town. They're going to be in Phoenix playing the Diamondbacks, that first series that he's back.
Right.
So I'm going to be at one of those games, and I'm very excited to get to see Tatis because I didn't get to see him last year when they were playing the Padres. But do you think that he'll slide seamlessly into the lineup, or do you think there's going to be some adjustment period for him, the rest of the team?
Adjustment period for him for sure, because he's not playing the same position anymore.
It's true. He's going to be an outfielder now. He's going to be right field.
So I think there's definitely going to be an adjustment period, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some rough clubhouse what do you call it? I don't know, perceptions or something like that. Charisma, shake up of the charisma because of him. I could see that.
Yeah, there could be. Yeah, because was it this year? Was it going to spring training, or like late last year that it was kind of like the Padres are over
last
him?
Year. Like they don't need him and they don't care, and it's
yeah.
Be interesting to see
what happens. Yeah, it really will be interesting to see what happens with him, just because he's got that massive contract. He's going to be really, really hard for them to trade if they decide that's what they want to do. There's going to have to be a deal where it's like, we will pay you all of the money to take him. We just don't want him in our clubhouse.
That's right. Which is an even more difficult prospect to sell. So I don't know.
Could be. Yeah, really could be. So the last thing we have in news before we get into games for this weekend, we have Liam Hendricks has announced officially, he made it social media official, that he has finished chemotherapy after 5 months of treatment. So very excited for him. Remember, he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he said in a post, he said, "See you soon." I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means either, man. But I hope his immune system's up to all sorts of social interaction and boots on the ground work, so he can be in the clubhouse pumping up those guys, waving the flag. I want to see him as much as possible interacting with the fan base. I'm not sure he's in a position at this point to be out on the concourse like Jazz Chisholm was last season, but more interaction is going to be good for him, and I think everybody else. So hats off to him.
Do you think they could put him up in a box and kind of be a flag waver? You think they could do that with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I know they could.
Box. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's super exciting. I'm just happy for him because finishing chemo is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, he got to ring that bell. I love seeing when people get to ring that bell. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah. Also, one more thing about Liam Hendricks. Did you know he's from Australia?
No. And if I did, I've forgotten.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like he did that post where he said, "See you soon." I was like, hold the phone. I'm telling Baseball Reference.
Wait a darn minute.
Yeah, he is from Australia. Yeah. Very cool. Maybe we'll get to see him in the next WBC pitching for Australia. That'd be
cool.
Yeah,
that would be so cool.
That would be rad. Okay, before we get into our weekend's games, we just want to remind you, baseball family, about Patreon. You can support the show by jumping on there. We have 4 tiers of support. We have $1, $5, $10, and $15. Each come with their own perks and benefits, but they all come with what we love to call the bullpen cut, which is the unedited, uncut version of the show every single week, where it's from the moment we hit record until we stop recording. You get everything before, during, and after the show between segments. You get a little bit of bonus content with some of our guests. And
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
And speaking of that bonus content, don't forget the big show comes out every Tuesday. So during this week's episode, we interviewed ESPN's Mike Greenberg from, I don't know if you remember Mike and Mike, and he's part of Get Up and Greeny. So subscribe on any of your platforms that you listen to podcasts from on. We're everywhere, but you can also subscribe on YouTube. It's probably the best place to find us. That's where kind of most of our content. So if you want highlights from the show, if you're not in for a full hour here and there, whatever, you can get bite-sized topic by topic segments of the big show that comes out every Tuesday there as well. So jump on there and subscribe, hit the bell so that you can get notified when we drop everything new.
For sure. Good job. Thanks, Brig. Okay, let's talk about our national TV schedule this weekend. So first things first, Peacock's MLB Sunday leadoff, aka what we call Wake Up in Baseball. That doesn't start till the end of April. We got a couple more weeks until that starts. But in the meantime, on Friday night, we do have Apple TV Plus, which was received with mixed reviews last year. I don't know. Anyway, so the bummer about that this year is that if you don't have Apple TV Plus, you will not get to watch these games this year. I guess last year they did it gratis for the populace, but this year not so much. You've got to have your subscription to be able to get in there and watch the games. But anyway, the first game that we have of the weekend on the national TV schedule is we have the Rangers at the Cubs. The Rangers are 4-2. The Cubs are 2-3. This game will be on, like I said, Apple TV Plus at 2:20 p.m. Eastern. That is weird.
Yeah,
that is an odd time for a game on such a platform on a Friday. I don't know. Anyway, I wonder if they're just hoping people have. This is my thing. That's odd. Is that like if people are taking the day off the Friday before Easter, I think most of them are going to be watching the Masters. Right.
Well, I'm in Augusta right now.
You are. Are you seeing any of the festivities, Brig?
Well, they're about, but I am avoiding them.
Probably smart.
We're having our own festivities, but it has nothing to do with the Masters. They just happen to be here at the same time.
Coincidental.
Yeah.
But anyway, exactly. about this game and this series this weekend, it's been about 5 minutes. The Rangers are tied with the Angels on top of the AL West. I think they'd like to capitalize on a weak schedule to start off this season as much as they can to build as big of a lead as they can before the Astros and the Mariners get things sorted out and come after them, right? It's really what it seems like. The Rangers, I mean, I thought they were going to have a hard time with the Phillies, but they pounded them.
Dude, it was murder.
Pounded them into the ground. Like, it looked ugly early. Yeah. DeGrom got roughed up, run early, but now apparently he's back. So I don't know. I don't know who the Rangers are.
I don't understand.
I'd like to think I know, but I don't know. We're gonna have to find out as we get a little.
I know who they are. They're going through some growing pains right now, and they're trying out their teenager legs. And just you wait, Henry Higgins, because they're brewing something special. I keep telling you, it's probably not going to be this season, but it's going to happen. It's happening.
I think it will. I think they're probably 2 years away from anything happening, but I think they'll get there. They'll get there.
Yeah.
And then they've got the Cubs. The Cubs are the Cubs. They're not going to be that great this season. But I don't feel like David Ross is going to let anybody go out there and not play with heart. I feel like they're going to compete every day.
I agree.
Just because that's who they are. So why don't you tell us about the Braves and the Padres this weekend, Brig?
The Padres are going to be in Atlanta, in hot Atlanta, in the A. They're going to go down to the A. And they'll be there at 7:20 Eastern is when the start time is. This again on a Friday. Padres have a huge expectation to win it all this year. Their fan base, the media, everybody else wants to do that or expects them to win. And the Braves are leading off so far 5-1 going into this series. And they are saying, poo-poo on you. We're better than you. So it'll be interesting. That's on Apple TV Plus, 7:20 p.m. The Braves earned that 5-1 win, or that 5-1 record, by playing the Nats, which is fine, and then the Cards, who they swept, which is something I did not see coming, because I think the Cards have a pretty decent ball club right now. So I worry about what happens to San Diego in the A.
Yeah, it could be ugly because San Diego has struggled. I mean, I don't know. They've been up and down already, which is it's 6 games. Who cares? Like I did the math today because I was listening to Samson, and literally, like it's if you're equating the MLB season to an NFL season, we're like early in the fourth quarter of the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we're not even through the first game yet. But
no,
anyway,
totally.
The other thing that I was gonna say was the Cards. Like we'll get into this a little bit more on Monday or on the big show next week. But the Cards are having some issues right now. So
yeah,
so we'll get into that. But anyway, Saturday's game, we got the Rangers and the Cubs again on Saturday. This one's going to be on FS1. This is 4:05 p.m. Eastern. We already talked about that series. So we'll move on. Let's move on to ESPN. ESPN's going to have some games for you on Sunday. Tell us about the ESPN Plus game, Brig.
ESPN Plus game this week is going to be the Reds at the Phillies. And you'd think the Reds would just be a no big deal issue for the Phillies. However, the Phillies are 1-5 right now, and the Reds are 3-2. So for those of you that track records pretty closely, it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like on 105 Eastern on ESPN Plus. The Phillies have got to figure out something, and I don't even know what to call it at this point, but whatever it is, they need to figure it out, and they need to do it now, because if they lose to the Reds this early on, after having been pounded by some pretty great teams, I feel like there may be a little bit of hangover from the World Series, maybe with this, maybe that. There's justification, and that's fine. You play the Yankees, you get smashed, that's okay. But if you lose to the Reds, you're going to have a problem justifying a lot of things. So I'm that's my thing about the Phillies and Reds game.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Sunday at 105.
Like it's been an ugly 1-5 for the Phillies to this point. It's been really ugly. Yeah. Did you see what Trey Turner said on John Boy this week?
No,
he said that. So he told him, John Boy. He told Trey Turner, he's like, I'm going to talk to Aaron Boone. Is there anything you want me to ask him for you? He goes, can you ask him if he'll let us win one? Just one game.
Yeah, okay, that's fantastic.
It was really good. It was really good. Thought it was fantastic.
That's great.
So Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. You got the Padres of the Braves as well. That game is 7:10 p.m. Eastern. If you want to get the K-Rod cast with Michael K and Alex Rodriguez, that game's good. That'll be on ESPN2 at the same time, obviously, as the regular game's going on.
Yep.
So you can catch that and have lots of fun. Okay, let's talk about our series to watch this weekend, and we're starting to do a new little bit with this year. We're going to be doing some picks for you if you are into the gambling game. So, But before we get too far into that, let's first throw up a baseball prayer to all the teams playing in the northern and the northeastern parts of the country so they can make sure they get those games in. Brig?
Ready.
There we go. Okay.
Thank you.
Done our due diligence. Yeah. Hopefully they can get those games in. Okay, so these are my series to watch this weekend. I have, obviously, the Mariners and Guardians. Obviously, I'm going to be keep my eye on that because I'm a huge Guardians fan, in case you didn't notice by my shirt and my backwards hat. No, just kidding. Mariners fan, obviously. But this is the thing. But this is the thing about this, is that these are two teams that came into the season with really high expectations. I was surprised at the amount of people we talked to who picked the Mariners to win the World Series. Like, legitimately shocked that anybody besides me was saying this, and that I actually got you finally, Brig, drinking the Kool-Aid on this. So
I know
the Guardians opened up their season in Seattle, and they took round one. They took 2 out of 3 of those games, or 3 out of 4 of those games. I feel like the Mariners since then, though, have sorted some things out. They lost 2 of those games because of errors, right? Like,
yeah,
Come on now. And then there's some bad base running against the Angels, made them lose a couple games. Anyway, I think they've sorted some things out, figured some stuff out, and I think that this is going to be a different series in Cleveland than it was in Seattle, and that's what I'm going to be watching there. The other big one for me, or one of the other big ones for me, is the A's at the Rays. Now, I know it's the A's. People don't even want to watch the A's live these days, right? Like, why would they want to watch them on TV? But this is more about the Rays. Okay, the Rays have not really played anybody yet. They're 6-0 to date going into Thursday. They played the Tigers and the Nats. You kind of expect them to win those games, but not necessarily sweep both. But they've got the A's coming in this weekend. I'm curious if they can continue to beat the teams that they're supposed to. Get 3 games against the A's, see if they can improve to 9-0. I will be keeping an eye on this because that would be fascinating if they started 9-0. Because that's not who I expect the Rays to be. Not at all.
Yep.
So, and my other series is the Yankees and Orioles, but Brig's going to get into that one.
Yeah, so I'll be watching the Yankees-Orioles closely, mostly because the Orioles are 3-3 and running amok all over the place. So I'm really interested to see who the Yankees decide to put behind home plate during that entire series. I want to see how the Orioles perform at home. I want to see how the crowd shows up. I'm really interested in watching. Like, I'm a Yankees fan, obviously. Everybody knows that. And I'm obviously want to watch the Yankees win if at all possible. But there's so many more storylines going on here, especially when it comes to this young, chippy Orioles team. So I'm pretty excited to see what happens. And if they can really put up a good fight, win or lose against the Yankees, it'll be telling, I think, about the remaining of Baltimore's campaign this 2023. So for the same reasons as I listed earlier, I'll be watching the Padres at the Braves. I want to see how San Diego measures up to the expectations against a team that they are going to struggle against, I think. So I'm really interested to see what that looks like. And then Reds at Phils, same. Like we talked about, the Reds, if the Reds beat the Phils, something's really, really wrong in Philly.
Right.
And it really will expose everything. And I'm worried about that. So I'll be watching that closely because we could have some pretty good defining moments this weekend about these teams that have some pretty unexpected possibilities.
Yeah, and I think we'll play a game with that later on this month about like how some of these teams have started. But the Reds though, like the Reds have started already better than they did last year, and I think last year they were dealing with a lot of injuries. Right, that was a major problem. Which it's like, oh, but injuries aren't like it's a real thing, right? Like, you can kind of get dug into the hole of injuries. Everybody deals with them, but not everybody deals with them at the same clip. And so I don't know I wonder if the Reds are going to be one of those teams that's like just like a pest all year long. Like I don't have them making the playoffs. I don't see that happening, even despite the division that they're in. But they could be a pest with this balanced schedule. They could still go out there and play spoiler and beat some teams that they're not supposed to, and have a lot of fun doing it. So,
I agree.
We're gonna wrap things up with our picks. So, for those of you who like to put a little bit of money on games, little wagers, here you go. This is what we got for you. So, we're gonna go through every week. We're gonna do one pick a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, through this weekend for you. So, my pick. So, Friday, I'm playing the M's and the Guardians. You've got Gilbert versus Savali. Okay, couple of really good pitchers. Take the under. The last time I saw, DraftKings had the best odds on this at plus 100 on the under 7. Now, remember, that's a 3 to 4 game. You will push, but I don't think it's going to get that. I don't think it's going to get that high. Logan Gilbert doesn't give up a lot of runs. Savali doesn't give up a lot of runs. I think you're safe with the under on that one. Saturday, Marlins at the Mets. Rogers versus Senga. Take the plus money where you can get it on the Mets. Whether it's on the run line, because I don't know. I'm sure the Mets will probably be favored in this game, but I don't know for sure. If you can get them on the money line when they're favored, go for it. Absolutely. But if they're not favored, take it on the run line, which will most likely be plus 1.5. Take it there, but take your plus money where you can with the Mets in this game. Sunday, the A's at the Rays. Take plus money where you can. Again, it's probably going to be hard because I bet the Rays will be heavily favored. You might not be able to get it on the run line or the money line because they're probably good chance they're going to win by 4 or 5 in this game. So it's a Sunday afternoon. There's going to be a lot of runs scored. Build yourself a parlay. I'm not going to do this often, but in this case, I would suggest it. Take the Rays money line and the over. Sorry, probably take the Rays run line because you're going to get a little bit better odds there. Take the Rays run line and also take the over because it's a Sunday afternoon game. There's going to be a lot of runs scored in that game. Go ahead, Brig.
Yeah, so my Friday picks, we're going to go with Rangers at Cubs. I recommend taking the Rangers money line. Superbook odds show them at plus 112 right now, and I think that's what I would do. That's the game I'd be putting money on. Saturday, Reds at Phils. Take plus money wherever you can, like Brad said. The Reds are probably going to be the underdog going into this, so if you can find plus money on it, do it. And then Sunday, I've got the A's at the Rays. Take the run line for exactly the same reasons Brad listed.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, before we get going, baseball family, we want to take a minute to remind you to like, subscribe, rate, and review the show. Let us know what you think about what we're doing. You can always hop in the mailbag. There's a link in the description of every single episode. You can send us over an email, and we'll respond. You can also comment on every video on YouTube as you so choose. But yeah, and subscribe so you don't miss anything because like Brig said, we're dropping stuff in bite-sized clips every single week so you can get it little bits and pieces if you don't have an hour to sit down. Tell them about Chinook and also Seed Sack, Brig.
Yeah, by now you ought to know about Chinook Seedery. If you don't worry, we'll tell you more about them all over again. We've got the little banner right there in the center because they are the best seeds ever, and you can get 10% off your order of any size at chinookseedery.com by using code BTPOD. Again, that gives you 10% off, and it does go to support the show as well. So if you like what we're doing and you like sunflower seeds, that is a great way to go. And we are also, coupled with that, partnered with Seed Sack. So if you want to if you want to go to Seed Sack and get yourself something nice to get your Chinook seeds into, what am I trying to say? You want to put seeds into a seed sack that fit nice in your freaking back pocket, okay? So go to
and
Seed Sack because they make the best.
You know what's awesome is that the seeds, the Chinook seeds, like the pouches, the skinny pouches that they do, one of those fits exactly into the Seed Sack.
Yeah.
So
I need to get myself a leather one. They have leather ones. Brad, you've got the canvas one, and they have fully customizable options as well. So Seed Sack, you can use the code baseball, the number 2 together at Seed Sack to support the podcast. That gives you 5% on your order, and it goes to support the show. So Seed Sack, there you go. Thanks for being here. We couldn't do it without you guys.
Season. Yeah, that's exactly. Right. It's seed-sack.com. We'll put a link down in the description. Yep. There's always links to everything. But baseball family, thank you so much for joining us on our first Thursday Night Live of the season. And we'll be doing this every single Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific for those of you on the Best Coast. And baseball family, we will catch you next week.